Okay, so some proportional reasoning with a problem. So um, really the hardest stuff with problem solving questions is pulling the question out of the problem. So I'm going to read it slowly and then we'll pull the important information out. A crew consisting of Angela, Beth, and Kwan contracted for a flat fee of $1,500 to assemble a truckload of bicycles for a toy store. The crew decided to divide the money proportionally, corresponding, nice words, to the productivity of its members. If Angela assembles 104 bicycles, and Beth and Kwan each assemble 26 bicycles, what was Beth's share of the money? Okay, so we can kind of build two things here. I'll highlight what's important here. A, that it's important that there's three people. We have Angela, we have Beth, and we have Kwan. And the total amount of money they get is $1,500. Okay. So there's going to be the dollar values here. So I'll scroll down the middle. We're going to kind of build a relationship or a ratio for dollars. And then we're going to also build a relationship for how much they produced. And it tells us here that Angela assembles 104 and both Beth and Kwan assemble 26 each. So we'll call that, I don't know, what symbol could I use here? Like a gear or a bike. Okay, we'll just make our lovely looking bike here. Yay. Okay. So we have an equation essentially for both of these. We're going to have like a ratio for our money and a ratio for our bicycles assembled, and we'll try to figure out a relationship between the two of them. So we have Angela. We'll put her in red here. So we have the money for Angela, and we don't know what it is, right? We have in relationship to, so it's building a ratio, the money for Beth, with again, we don't know what it is then related to Kwan. So there's our money for Kwan, okay? And we know that the total money, so we know that kind of A plus B plus K here is equal to a total of $1,500. We just don't know how it's being split up. They said it was going to be proportional. So what they have told us is how many bicycles Angela assembles. We know that she assembled 104 bicycles, and then Beth assembles 26, and Kwan also assembles 26 bicycles. So in order to find out a relationship between these so that we can relate it back to the dollar amounts, we need to know what the total number of bicycles is. That's our missing piece of information now. And that will help us relate back to the dollar value and then back to both A, B, and K here. Okay? So we need to sum this together. And I can bring up a nice calculator here. Can I bring up a nice calculator here? There you go. So we have 104 plus 26 plus 26. So 156. So this is important to us because that gives us a total, which is what we need. We have 156 total bicycles. So now what we can do is we can start setting up percentage values, really, or fractions to solve this. So what we're going to do is figure out what fraction of the total of 156 are Angela's bicycles, the 104. What fraction of the total 156 are the 26 bicycles? Whoops. And then once we have those fractions, we can kind of turn them into percentages, or we can leave them as fractions, and then relate back to the money to find out what fraction of the money they should earn. So let's, I'm going to call this our percentages and fractions relationship. So I'm going to write it right underneath. So our fraction is 104 of the total 156. Okay. 26 of the 156. And again, 26 of the 156. So what I need to do is just find out what this is in terms of a percentage. We know altogether it'll add up to 100%. So let's bring out my lovely calculator again. And we have 104 divide 156. So 6, that is essentially a fraction of 2 over thirds. So I'm going to reduce that fraction. The percentage is 66.6 repeated, which is 2 over 3. And what that means is that's 2/3. So let's find out what the other ones have been split to do. 26 divide 156. This is Beth's. Is 16.6 repeated. So 16.6 repeated, and because they are the exact same quants, is 16.6 repeated. As a fraction, I think this would be a sixth and a sixth, and I'm gonna double check. 1 divide 6. Yeah, that's what it is. So he and she both do 1/6 of the total operation. So these are, I should have wrote that in, percentages. So now that we have the proportion of the total number of bikes made by Angela, Beth, and Quan, we can essentially multiply these percentages by this money amount to find out how much each of them should earn in respect to their amount of work. So because Angela does 66%, we can multiply that by the $1,500. So we're going to end up with probably some relatively large decimal values here. So I'm going to do the 1,500 times, and what's nice about this is I can just take my amount. So I'm going as exact as possible here, and it rounded out actually very nicely. It's $1,000. So this states that Angela deserves $1,000 of the total pot for what her contribution is. Okay, we'll do the same thing again. The $1,500 times the 1/6 or 16.6 repeated, and we get 250. So Beth should earn $250. And then, because they're the exact same, this should be also $250. If we add it all up to ensure, 1,000 and 250 and 250 equals 1,500. So let's see what the original question asked us, now that we've done a whole lot of work. What is Beth's share? Well, Beth and Quan both have the same amount, so they should earn 250. The 1,000 would be Angela's portion of the money in this question.